Well, the other big story today is that Pakistan today announced that it was going to execute an Indian citizen, Kulbhushan Jadhav. He's a former Navy officer who had been arrested by Pakistan in March last year on accusations that he was a spy. Suddenly, out of the blue today, the Pakistani army put out a press statement on Twitter, essentially saying that they had found Kulbhushan Jadhav guilty of activities against Pakistan and that he had been tried in a court-martial and would be executed. Soon after that, the Indian government came out with a hard-hitting statement saying that if indeed Pakistan was to go ahead with this execution, which they said went completely against all basic norms of law and justice, that this would be regarded by India as a case of premeditated murder. India says that it didn't even know that Kulbhushan Jadhav had been put on this so-called trial and that 13 attempts to get consular access to him had all been denied by the Pakistani authorities. Ajay Shukla still with us here in the studio. Nalin Kohli of the BJP joins us. Mr. KC Singh, former diplomat, joining us shortly, as well as Mr. Jaydev Ranade, former additional secretary with the NDTV. Ambassador KC Singh, let me ask you first, what would you say about this development? Did this come as a surprise to you as well?
As a surprise, but now that you look at it, it can be seen as a logical development of the direction in which Pakistan was going. But the timing is interesting because they had not given us access, they had been repeating the charges, but the methodology chosen, giving it to a military court, not having a transparent trial, but they had been denying us access all along. But deciding at this particular moment is what is significant. Why have they done it now and done it with such hurry? It could be multiple reasons. It could be sending a signal to what is happening in the valley, irritating India at a particular point when the valley is already in turmoil. It could be also there are reports that perhaps there's a missing Pakistani ex-army officer who's missing from Nepal. I don't know whether India has anything to do with it, or at least Pakistan think India has something to do with it. Or it is a rebalancing of relationship between the military and the civilian authorities in Pakistan again. Because the signals that we have been getting with the arrest of Hafiz Saeed and all were that General Bajwa is willing to play along with the civilian government. Maybe General Bajwa feels that with the Panama Papers trial about to be announced, and if this puts Nawaz Sharif in a very difficult position, because there have been rumors he may flee the country or he has fled the country, he may be repositioning himself as a custodian of public morals and counter-terrorism, from where he could then negotiate what role the Pakistani military has.
Well, like you said, the timing is interesting, and we have Colonel Shafqat Saeed, from Pakistan, who is a retired defense analyst. And Colonel Saeed, in just December last year in the Pakistani Senate, Sartaj Aziz actually said that the evidence that was there against Kulbhushan Jadhav was not conclusive, which brings us to the question about what has changed between December of 2016 and now, and how come the Indian government has been denied consular access 13 times, which goes against sort of all norms and justice, and we're not even told, the Indian government is not even told that he's been put on trial, allegedly.
Kulbhushan Singh Jadhav trial information, I think it should have been shared, but as far as Mr. Sartaj Aziz's statement is concerned, he was answering in the Senate a question that why Mr. Nawaz Sharif has not mentioned Kulbhushan Singh Jadhav in his UN address, and why you are not taking up case with India on the discovery of Kulbhushan Singh Jadhav and raw role in Balochistan. And to answer to that question, Sartaj Aziz gave an answer that so far the evidence is not conclusive, meant that it is still in process and the case is yet not complete to be started against Kulbhushan Singh Jadhav. And it was presented by especially Indian media in a manner that there is no evidence against Kulbhushan Singh Jadhav. I think the correct thing was that at that point of time when Sartaj Aziz was speaking to the Senate At that time, the case was not conclusive. The evidence had not been made conclusive at that
But
time.
Colonel Saeed, that was December 7th of 2016. I mean, it wasn't that far back. It was just 3 months ago.
Yes.
And now all the evidence has come.
Yes.
A trial has been, supposed trial has been carried out. Isn't that a bit of a farce when the government of India has not even given consular access to him? You don't think that's a sham? The fact that they weren't even informed about this trial, as you yourself said, they should have been told that this trial was taking place. How do we know what trial took place, whether it even happened? You know, it's obvious it didn't happen. So what changed in just this matter of 3 months?
Ma'am, this India-Pakistan relationship is a shame relationship. And I think nowhere on God's earth, anywhere, two countries have this type of relationship. And this relationship is more or so because of India, because India is a bigger country and India is leading the courts in subcontinent.
You're not answering my question.
I think if India wants
why shouldn't consular access have been given? Colonel Saeed, I'm not interested in a lecture on India.
Why should he get a consular access?
Why
should he get a consular access?
Because he's an Indian citizen.
Why? Because he was not a diplomatic corps personnel. He was not on authorized visit to Pakistan. And he was just another terrorist of Indian nationality.
How do we know that? Where is the evidence that the trial was free and fair? This is a sham of a trial.
No rights of the normal citizen.
No, of course he has to get those
rights.
Yeah, exactly. This is these are
Vienna Convention does not deal people
you have
like
to give access to any
They have
citizen.
to evolve procedures and rules for dealing people like this.
I mean, I don't know what imaginary convention you're dealing with, Colonel Saeed, and let me just get Ajay Shukla into this. What are the ramifications of this going to be?
Well, the ramifications are twofold. Firstly, as far as public perception is concerned, it's quite clear now, based on the secretive nature of the trial by a military court and by the fact that no consular access has been given despite multiple requests, that the evidence against Kulbhushan Jadhav was not the kind of evidence that would stand up in public, and therefore they had to adopt this backdoor means.
Absolutely.
But now, having done so, the reality of the matter is that Pakistan has a card up their sleeve. They have an ace that they can play either in defaming India, they can play it in the case of a prisoner swap. As we mentioned earlier, there is the possibility that India is holding a prisoner, a high value prisoner of Pakistan as well. So there are multiple ways, but all of this boils down to the larger game, the Pakistani change that took place about 2 or 3 years ago, where they decided that we are not going to be on the defensive against India any longer. If India accuses us of the Mumbai trials, we'll accuse them of terrorism on the Shatabdi Express. If Mumbai says that if India says that Pakistan is fomenting terrorism in India, we will accuse them of terrorism in Balochistan. So this is all part of that game, and Kulbhushan Jadhav seems to have caught up in that.
Your Prime Minister said that he's involved in Balochistan.
No, he didn't. I don't know, Colonel Saeed, like I said, you seem to have a very overactive imagination. But Nalin Kohli...
He said he would go to any extent to do that.
No, he didn't say that. I think you're not understanding what he said.
A person can be made in interrogation or post-interrogation to say anything at all.
Absolutely. Which is why... so, Nalin Kohli, I mean, this really... How does the BJP see this development? I mean, does this effectively end any possibility of any kind of dialogue in the months ahead? In any case, Nawaz Sharif then faces elections. Then what?
I don't think the question of dialogue or no dialogue is really relevant to this. The question is, what is Pakistan's position? Pakistan is now increasingly behaving more like a banana republic, and they have now kangaroo trials, a kangaroo court. Because so far we've seen Pakistan as being a hotbed of terrorism, and that they deny, and the whole world knows that they are a hotbed of terrorism. They foment terrorism. They allow terrorists to move freely and fearlessly. Their own citizens who are not terrorists probably have more fear than the terrorists themselves. The second part to it is they have a very funny a system of justice. In a system of justice, a terrorist can't be tried, a Hafiz Saeed or somebody else in the Mumbai thing. The whole world says that we require to see some action against the terrorists, but you pick up somebody who's moving with his passport. I mean, is Kulbhushan Jadhav not having his passport? You deny him under the Vienna Conventions access, consular access. So basically, Pakistan, in my opinion, is basically a failed state that is proving beyond every doubt that it is a completely failed state. Then they have this whole mindset, India is a bigger country, so they should talk to us. Now that I don't know under which diplomatic, under which realpolitik, or under which, only an extremely fertile imagination, as the word you've been using, person can use that as an argument that you must talk to us because you're a bigger country. People talk not because of size, they talk because there will be a commonality of issues, but you can't talk to a wall. You can't talk to somebody who doesn't see the truth. You can't talk to somebody or a nation that only believes in a certain point of view, which doesn't even see terrorism coming out and harming its own citizens. What about the neighboring country? So these are the contradictions that Pakistan is. They are entitled to live with those contradictions. They are entitled to be a bigger failed state. They are entitled to declare themselves as a banana republic, and they are entitled to also go ahead and declare that they have no system of rule of law, natural justice or anything. They only have kangaroo courts. That's what it proves. I think Pakistan is in a self-defeating exercise in trying to constantly say they are going to teach a lesson to India. What they end up doing is reduce their own little whatever credibility is left globally. And talking about neighbors, even Afghanistan doesn't enjoy that kind of a warm relationship. Iran is one step ahead. They don't enjoy that kind of a warm relationship. So for Pakistan, the question is, who do they have a warm relationship with?